Well, hey there, wow friends, it's Adele King in here from the Wowbeing Weekly. This week I've got a breath exercise for you that is really great in really hot summer months. If you're being introduced to this video and it's really hot outside and your whole internal systems feel like they're overheating or being overexhausted. It's also a great breathing exercise for those times where there's a lot of internal heat generated, whether it be through frustration or anger or some nervous tension or nervous energy. In the Ayurvedic terms, we'd call it when there's excess pitta in the body. It's a cooling breath to kind of bring that internal thermostat back down to a nice calibration so we can have an evenness of mind, a balance in our systems, and a really nutritive experience for ourselves in our day. And it's an interesting one. What I'm going to do is invite you to start to find a little bit more breath in your belly to assist with this cooling breath, the Sitali breath, because oftentimes that internal heat can kind of come from the place of being really kind of ferocious up here, if you like. In Western culture, we have a lot of language around the head, like in the positive, it's, oh, he or she has a good head on their shoulders. And the opposite, we call someone really hot-headed, in a kind of negative way when they're really reactive and feisty and ferocious, if you like. Whereas in the Japanese culture, and some of you might correct me if I've got slightly the wrong translation of this, but in the Japanese culture, instead of referring to the head in that way, they refer to the belly. So they might say, oh, he's got a really well-formed belly, like he's in tune, he's got the intelligence, he's sorted in his life, he's got a well-formed belly. Like, can you imagine going up and saying that to a friend on the street? Oh, you've got a really well-formed belly there. But the gesture is to really recognize there's a lot that goes on in our gut, and that deep diaphragmatic breath is so important to have balance and to have that experience of feeding yourself and nurturing yourself and that deeper intelligence. So we want that well-formed belly. Interestingly, in the Japanese culture, so the opposite of that is, oh, his belly rises easily. If you're victimized by your reactivity, your belly rises easily, similar to being hot-headed. So what I'm going to offer you today is a calibration where we can simmer down, if you like, and marinate in a really cooling, nourishing experience that comes through feeling and tuning into the breath and movement of energy down in the belly. So that's the point where we're going to start. So you can have one of two ways into this. You can practice my Kapalabhati breath, which I think is around week 23. I'll put the notes down in the bottom of the video. The pumping breath, and that's actually called breath of fire. So while we're going to be doing a cooling breath, you could start with a little bit of heat, particularly if you're feeling coming in like this. So there might be the mental fire and exhaustion, but the body's kind of not along with it, and it's exhausted from it. So instead of Kapalabhati, if you're really not feeling like you do want too much fire, to get into your body and into your belly, you can do a variation of, and that's on all fours, on your hands and knees. So kind of just like so, like you would for cat-cow. And it's like cat-cow, but it's a little bit more potent and powerful. So as you inhale, you drop the belly and lift the chest like we normally would for cow. And on the exhale, you move your belly into your spine. You take a nice big rounded back like a scared cat. And then we're going to pick up the pace. So you take a big full breath in, lift your tail, lift your head. And on your exhale, it's that forceful pump again as you round. And then you inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, fill that with all that vitalizing energy. And exhale, pump it out. And keep going like that. And you could go a little bit faster if you have a lot of erratic energy that you feel you need to shift. Or you could stay at a slower pace. Just do a few more. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. Then inhale, come back to your seat. place one or both hands on your belly and sensitize to what's going on there. And it's often a challenging place to get on into, particularly with tight movements and tight restrictive waistbands and tight schedules. This area we become quite disconnected. So we want that well-formed belly. It starts with our breath. Just a few more breaths like that. Notice if you're using secondary breathing muscles up here to try and draw the breath in. It would look like this. Right? It's quite different. And you can always go and do my practice from last week, practice 40. It brings it into movement, so you'll start to notice those tendencies. It's really good breathing flow practice. Notice how everything just still stays really soft around here. Okay, so we're going to stick with that well-formed belly, marrying it with having a good head on our shoulders, if you like, with the Sitali breath. And the easiest way to describe this one is imagine you're trying to suck your breath in through a straw. So the inhale comes in through a straw and you feed it all the way down into your belly. And the exhale just naturally releases from your belly all the way back up, out through both nostrils. And that straw sucking action, if you like, comes through rolling your tongue. And I know I get it genetically, some of you just cannot do this pose, this asana, if you like, just like there's many poses that, you know, I'm perhaps not genetically predisposed to do in the physical yoga practice as well. That's okay, practice of acceptance. So if you're unable to roll your tongue like that, a little kind of curling of the edges, poking your tongue out, totally fine. You can do this breath by placing your tongue lightly behind the bridge of your teeth, just behind the where the roof of your mouth meets the back of your teeth, just lightly. And you'll draw your breath in through loose lips if you can't roll your tongue like so. Right? So it's either or. Okay, notice how I didn't use any muscles up here to try and suck the breath in. It's purely coming in through the mouth, filling down into the belly. So we've got to have that effect of the diaphragm dropping to create that negative pressure to suck that breath in, expand the belly contents. And the exhale is just out through both nostrils like you would in normal yogic breathing. So again, it's inhaling. Or if it's without the rolled tongue. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through a few rounds of that and lead you into a brief meditation. If you haven't yet already, take a nice comfortable seat. I'm going to sit on my shins on a block. You could sit cross-legged, or you could prop yourself up against a wall or something like that. And when it comes to the time to just simply release into the meditation, if you've had a really kind of fiery day, it might be the most nutritive choice for you to even lie down for that last little bit. So just make your space ready for that. That's my intro, that's the description. Get yourself sorted and we'll get started. Okay, so making yourself comfy. If you're seated upright, you might even reach around and pull your butt flesh out from underneath you. So actually find your sit bones, those two bony protuberances, and pull them back and wide. So you have a nice grounded base where the pelvic bowl can really start to flood with that incoming breath that you're going to suck in through that imaginary straw. And then from there, find a little bit of axial extension, reaching up long through your spine. You can just roll your shoulders out a little bit. This is a little reminder to soften and release those muscles where we tend to tense, you know, when we get really hot-headed and reactive and we're all up in here. You can even smooth out around your eyebrows. A little massage around the jaw always helps. We carry so much unconscious tension there. And then you can choose to place your hands palms down or palms up. And when you're ready, start to soften and close your eyes. And if it's not a comfortable practice for you to close your eyes, it's totally okay. I suggest you just have something really gay, soft in your vision that you can set your gaze upon. Just a small detail that you turn your drishti towards and then allow it to get really soft and hazy. Allow your belly to soften and just to really receive the rise and fall of your breath. A nice, slow, steady, diaphragmatic breath. It brings you into your body, coaxes you into a state of balance. And then we'll begin the Sitali cooling breath, rolling your tongue or placing the tip of your tongue lightly behind your teeth. And I suggest you go at your own pace. So you could count your natural pace. It might be a count of 3 in and out or a count of 4 in and out. And then you could slowly start to extend that, but nothing that's really exaggerated or overly regulated or forced. Because we want to find this sense of evenness, a sense of bringing down regulating any overheating, and forcing and over-regulating is heating. So when you're ready, you're going to roll your tongue or place the tip of your tongue behind your teeth and inhale. Little pause at the top of your breath as you close your mouth, and then exhale out through both nostrils. And you keep going like that. Inhale, suck in through the tongue. Fill the belly, allow the belly to release. Little pause at the top of your breath as you close your mouth, soften your shoulders, and exhale out through both nostrils. And keep going like that at your own pace. Good. Take 5 more rounds of that Sitali breath. Letting your pelvis drop, your pelvic floor to widen, your belly to swell with every inhale that you sip in. A really easeful, calm release, letting go of the breath on the exhale. 2 more. And after that last complete breath, you might just want to swish your tongue around in your mouth. Sometimes it can be a bit drying. Inhaling through the mouth. Just bring a little bit more lubrication there. And then settle into a natural, easeful, rhythmic breath as the aftertaste of your Sitali breath. With your mouth closed, sweetly inhaling and exhaling through your nose. The kind of tidal expression of the breath rolling down into the belly, the swelling, the expanding, the uplifting. And then the exhale rolling back up the spine, releasing out through the nose, like a gentle internal massage. And then you could turn your attention to your skin, that membrane, that envelope that holds you. You can almost imagine you're breathing through every pore of your skin in that similar easeful, tidal way. Now very much out of your head and in your body. As you imagine breathing through your skin, you become a lot more aware and sensitive to sensation, to feeling. There's a lot more information at your disposal. And probably a lot less interference now from when you first sat down. Interference from the ping pong ball of the mind jumping around. Perhaps a lot less interference from external distraction, and even if there is some external distraction like your child calling for you, or the pitter-patter of your dog's feet, or some road noise outside, you can more readily bring yourself back into your body, into this more sensitized state with your breath. More sensitized and attuned to the interior landscape, rather than putting all your energy out into the world. This is your time to counterpose that, rebalance that, and bring it in, pull it in, just like we did when we were sucking the breath in through that imaginary straw. And as you stay very much in your body, supported by your breath, I'd like you to explore more subtle sensations below that surface level of the mind, down through the pathways of the heart, the gut. Just curiously scan your awareness around those areas, just like you would when you meet a person for the first time, where you kind of step back a little bit, you create a bit of space to really purely witness and observe them, where their energy is, how they move, how they engage, where they're from, what they do. And you greet them with that openness and that curiosity. To bring that same quality to the way in which you greet rising sensations here in your body. It's creating a little bit more space as you observe and perhaps now tap into and tune into much more subtle sensations and felt experiences. Ones that kind of just scintillate below the surface. Luminous, bite-sized pieces of intelligence. The wisdom that is in yourselves. You might be drawn to a particular area. Just move your breath there to place your awareness, your mind there, and see what arises. Very subtle, perhaps quiet, scintillating cluster of cells of intelligence. Catch yourself, there's a temptation to try and analyze it or compartmentalize it or assume it as something that's not worthy or right or silly. Take that hot-headedness out of the equation, come back to your breath. An internalized experience. As you've cleared out the debris of your day. As you've shifted your attention away from the external, the interference. Let's curiously be those areas inside you that seemingly start to pull you in. And it might just be a little glimpse where you land in this really quiet and deep, yet so luminous effervescent place. That's great. Be with that, even if it's just a glimpse of it. Don't try and make it something more than it's not. That's awakening more of you. That's a real win. We get into trouble when we try and hold on to that experience. So allow it to oscillate like your breath does, arising and leaving. And then you might be drawn to another place, even more subtle, effervescing, light. Marinate there. And if the mind gets in the way, it pulls you out, or there's an external distraction, there's some kind of interference, just notice it as that. It will always be there, and that's totally fine. It's part of our humanity. Bring your breath back in through every pore of your skin. And curiously find another place with which to settle your awareness. It's like you're immersing in a bath. Allow that feeling to dissipate if it dissipates. Create the space to then immerse once more. And those little glimpses of those depths, those subtleties, the energetic vibrations, the expanded bandwidth. It takes practice as we continue to refine and attune and awaken our faculties to the fact that we're a whole lot more than what is seen and what we think we know. And make this your practice to stay with the breath, to create the space, to curiously explore, to make the unseen seen with this internal awareness, the unknown known, the unreal real. If you've got a few more minutes, allow yourself to sit with that, to marinate with that. Even just those words to land in the cells of your body. The unknown, known. The unreal, real. The process of remembering. As you stay with this moment, where there's no need to take anything away, there's no need to add anything. Just here, this moment. This intelligence. Thank you for breathing consciously and for meditating with me today. Your cells thank you. I thank you. Everybody around you thanks you. Namaste.